I will say the relationship that I had with Prince was incredibly special. There was a love and appreciation outside of me working for him. This being is still connected to me and he's still guiding me. It started in dreams. He said things to me like, Crystal, I'm not there. I'm not there anymore, And so you don't have to hide or you don't have to protect me or you don't have to keep this secret. And because there were so many secrets for so many years that I held on to, he's finally given me that permission to just release it.
Welcome to Soul Sisters Get Real, the show that goes deep in who we really are and why we are really here.
We're your hosts, Karen from the States
and Eleni from Australia.
We've had heartfelt conversations as soul sisters for years, and we're ready to share our truths, stories, and life lessons with you.
And to inspire you to connect to your truest essence, which resides deep within your soul. There'll be tears, there'll be laughter, and there'll be no holding back.
So sit back, relax, and let's get real about the things that truly matter. Hello, I am so excited about today's episode. We are going to be talking about Crystal's relationship with Prince, not only on Earth, but also on the other side, and how she's continued a relationship with him. So stay with us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Crystal. Chef Crystal is a seasoned private chef and high-performance nutritional coach, boasting over 15 years of experience working in LA's elite, including Snoop, Will Smith, Prince, Ellen Lucasfilms, Mike Tyson, and Jessica Simpson. Chef Crystal proudly owns Spirit Fed, Inner City Kitchen, and has authored the Breastfeeding Guide, A Tale of Two Cities. I am so ready to get started. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Crystal.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited, Crystal. I'm like, oh my God. First you tell me that, you're like best friends with Prince, and the next thing you know, it's all these other people are coming in. Will Smith, for God's sake. So, oh my God. So I'm so excited to talk to you today. You were, like Karen said, you were Prince's chef, and then you became like his business manager, business affairs manager. You traveled with him around the world. I was just speaking to you earlier and we said that because I saw Prince live in concert around 25 years ago, and it was one of the most epic concerts that I had been to. And I don't often say with every concert that I go to that it was epic, but Prince's was. And when I tell people, oh no, not that singer, if you saw Prince in concert, oh my God, it was epic. And you just said to me that you were there with him in Australia at that concert. So first of all, give us a little bit of context in terms of how did you meet Prince?
Yes. It's so interesting. So, as Karen shared, I'm a private chef, and I was really fortunate enough because I'm in LA, from LA, so everyone has an agent. So I had an agent that sent me to a client's house. I didn't know who it was, and said, "Hey, they just want you to cook this meal. These had got some concerts, and would love for you to cook after the concert." Sure. And what ended up happening, it turned out, I think I got there probably 6 o'clock at night, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. No one had showed up yet. I had all of this food laid out, still didn't know who I was cooking for. And next thing you know, in walks Prince. And he's like, "We're not having dinner tonight with people over. It's just going to be me. Can you make me an omelet?" I said, "Sure." And that was the beginning of our relationship. And I will say what was such a blessing was that he saw so much greatness in the people that he worked with, and saw us not just as his employees, but as family, And I wouldn't go as far as to say best friend is such a, it's a word that I would say obviously for a friend, but he really was family for me, and it meant so much to me to have the relationship that we had and that we still continue to have. I really believe he is an angel guiding over my life, and just a vessel of knowledge. And I feel really blessed to be able to talk about him.
If I can just interject here, Crystal is a very good friend of mine. And I know we've been very good friends since our leadership course about three and a
Yes.
half, maybe years ago.
Yes.
And many times Crystal has mentioned how you get signs from Prince and you feel
Mhm.
him and you still have a relationship
Yes.
with him, which is so beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
that?
Yes. I mean, to be honest, like it's really thankful to you, Karin, and just like allowing me to speak to the angels that that guide me. And Prince and one of my best friends from high school, the two of them have been like the loudest like in my head. And what's been so, I would say, him being gracious enough to even stay connected with me, whether it's like in my own personal life and the things that I'm doing and the growth, and his continuing to say, I can hear him saying to me, you need to stop working for other people and you need to work on yourself and focus on yourself and your own businesses and building your own business. And he used to always say to a lot of us, but like that our he is just using his name as like a stepping stone, right? To be able to like get our name through the door. And then after that, it's all us. And I really feel like since his passing, like that has settled so much within me because I've been successful in my life because of the journey that I've had with him, but the constant reminder, like I said, of him as an angel saying to me, like, you've got this. You don't need me. You don't need this person. You don't need, like, you've already set yourself up to win. And I'll say, even going into his own legacy and continuing his legacy, because for years after he passed, I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about him. I didn't interview about him. I think I did one interview at that time after he had passed. And I just really felt like it wasn't my place. And it was him, it was, even with Karin and like I said, like she said, like during this leadership program that we did, it allowed me to see that like this being is still connected to me and he's still guiding me. And if I shut that out, like, yeah, I'm praying for support and the heavens to, guide me. And here it is, like, here is this person and or this being that continues to guide my life to this day.
Beautiful. Can I ask you about the first time that you realized that it was Prince guiding you? How did you feel that it
Mm.
was Prince as opposed to any other spirit? What actually happened?
Yes. I'm trying to remember the first time, the very first time. I mean, the thing is, like, it started in dreams where it would be like I would have like just dreams about him and it wasn't like things that had happened. It was more so like future, things that were going to happen in the future. And I'll share a little bit without sharing too much. Like a couple years ago, I had a dream where I was like in his home and he wasn't there. Like he literally said, like he was guiding me through his home and he's like, I'm not here, but I want you to be here to create something for me. And that happened years ago. And now I'm currently in the process of doing something right now, collaboration. Like I said, I don't want to share too much, but just I'm back in this space with him. And it was a vision that he had given me years ago, but it was from a dream. And interestingly enough, the reason why I knew it was him was because I called one of my friends and shared with her, oh my gosh, I just had a dream about Prince. And she said, so did I. And it was just like that. I knew, like, and it was, even though, um, it's just so crazy to even think about because even though I had this specific dream and she had another specific dream about him, it was exactly the same. It was
Mm-hmm.
exactly like he had come to us and like at his house in this, and and so he had been through, like, coming to me through dreams. And once I accepted it, that's when I felt him. Like I could feel him. And I think part of that, and then I started talking about him. And the more I talked about him, the more I could feel him or I understood him. And he said things to me like, Crystal, I'm not there. I'm not there anymore, And so you don't have to hide or you don't have to protect me or you don't have to keep, this secret. And because there were so many secrets for so many years that I held on to, and I felt like I had to. And he's finally like given me that permission to just like release it. And it's felt really great. It's opened up a lot for me in my personal life.
So curious, how many years were you friends with Prince?
Oh my gosh. So I mean, I worked for him for 4.5, 5 years. And then he passed about 2 years after that, after I
Okay.
had stopped working for him.
Mhm. What I think
So
is so beautiful is that, in the spirit world, they want us to succeed and
mhm.
they have no judgment. And that he's
Yes.
given you permission to just say whatever and be yourself and feel your feelings. And then even when you talk about the project or
Mhm.
the experience that he wanted you to have, can you tell us a little bit about that? Was that Prince's
Mhm.
idea, your inner city
Um,
kitchen?
no, 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 no. That funny thing about Inner City Kitchen is that I was actually working on Inner City Kitchen when I met him, and he took me away from all of it, and he was like, "Come travel the world with me." But really, I would say that at the end of my work life with him, he was that kind of springboard, to the introduction. Like he introduced me to so many people and allowed me to see that I was so much more than just a chef, and because there were many times that I just kind of felt like in my life, working with the different people that you work with, you're just kind of like the help, and with him, it wasn't about that. It was like, how do you get to grow spiritually? How do you get to grow in your business? How do you get to grow as a wife? And at that time when I first started with him, I wasn't a mother, and but even having conversations around having children, like it was incredibly special. And again, it's led me to where I am now, in my business and in my life, and also just trusting that.
Mm. I think a lot of people don't realize that apart from being an incredible entertainer and a really strong force in entertainment, he was and is a really bright light. And in that industry, you know way more than me, Crystal, there's dark forces
Hmm.
that, dark energies and so on.
Hmm.
And yet Prince held the light.
Hmm.
Could you speak on that, on seeing him do that?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely just in my own experience with him. I know that everyone had their own experience and relationship with Prince, and not everything was easy, I will say. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's like he was such a light, and a light for many people, and elevated, people's careers, um, elevated their, spiritual connection with God, elevate. I mean, he played many different roles in that, and so as a light, like he was definitely a guide in the darkness of, and that's why I shared around the secrets, because I know that he lived so many secrets within his life, which therefore I believe that, as someone who was connected with him, and were drawn to people for a reason. And I think that part of, after his death and up until this point in my life, um, learning to not live in secret, learning to be okay with, people not liking you, learning to be okay with, being loved and receiving love and giving love without maybe not getting love back, because that's who he was, and being comfortable in that. I really feel like, especially over the last year or two, that's the gift that he's given me, is that like sometimes you're going to have to, just be uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, the vision is the vision, and you just continue on.
Crystal, what you've just said about secrets is really what this show is about, because we're all about getting real. And you've just made a really important point, which is I choose not to have any secrets.
Mm,
So, can you take us through that process of how you chose that and the kind of secrets that you would have kept private,
mm,
which you no longer keep private, and
right,
how that all played out? Because it's
right,
fascinating.
right. I mean, and like I said, people are drawn to people for a reason, and there was a time in my life, I will say, just as a child, right? You hold your family secrets, or you hold you hold a lot of baggage. Um, excuse me. And I recognize that part of the reason why Prince was drawn to me is because I was really committed to holding his secrets. And whether it be the things that he didn't want to share with other people, whether it was whatever he was struggling with at the time, whether he voiced it to me or not, it was still something that I held. I mean, we all know how Prince passed, and I really, for a long time, held on to anything that would protect his image, and what I realized is that, like, that also, like, I lived that life. Anything that would protect my image, I felt like I didn't want to share. Anything that wasn't in alignment with what I thought my audience was, per se, right? And I recognized that that was what the draw was between us, is that I could hold the secrets for him, and it began to, like, eat away at me. And even in my life right now, it's like I choose to live each day as best I can, without hiding. And so I think, as an entertainer, or my experience, there's a lot of things that you try to hold back, that you want to keep personal. But then you also can't, because you're in the limelight and everyone sees you and everyone knows you and everyone knows what they think are your secrets. But they really don't. And I feel, I don't want to say sorry, but I feel I have a lot of just, like, empathy, for the fact that at the end of his life, he wasn't able to, like, share, what was really going on and what was really happening for him. And maybe that was part of it, was to protect his legacy. I don't know. I mean, either way, it's all out in the open at this point.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how has your life transformed spiritually since you had this awareness of he's not really gone and he's still here
Mm,
guiding me. He's coming to me in my dreams. And then it
yes.
sounds like there's a lot of learnings around it. So how spiritually has your life changed since all of this transpired?
Yeah. I mean, it's taken me some time. It's taken me some years, because it was like this, up and down kind of roller coaster wave, per se, where I was not seeing my own, like, how I was harming myself or harming my family by holding my secrets and other people's secrets, and really kind of trying to, like, manipulate whatever I could to, like, make sure that nobody knew what was going on in my life. And part of that had to do with trusting other people to hold me, but also not being perfect. And so what the lesson has taught me, is there is no perfect person. And we're all here serving our purpose. And at the end of our life, and again, this is my experience with Prince. At the end of my life, I would love to have an opportunity to just be open, and not have to end my life with people asking questions about me, or wondering, about me. Mm.
It is. And it's such an important point, because we do guard ourselves. We guard ourselves, and really, who are we guarding? We're not guarding our soul, because our soul is open and
Mhm.
transparent and all loving. We're guarding our ego. So
Yes,
the ego is the one that wants to be guarded, and it
absolutely.
wants an identity, and it wants to prove themselves to others, and it needs to be liked, it needs to be
Yes.
approved of, and it needs to know where it fits in the status of that ladder. So, you talked earlier about and you work with a lot of well-known people, like you said, Snoop and Will Smith, and many, many people that are very well known. How do you navigate the ego versus the soul when you're having these conversations with these people? How do you see it? Like, I know with myself, Crystal, ever since I saw my ego in glaring big lights,
Mm.
I'm now able to see it in myself and in others way more than I used to. So now I can easily
Mm.
see any ego that speaks really quickly, whether it comes from me or whether it comes from someone else. How do you deal with that when you're actually speaking to celebrities who do have to deal with an ego that keeps getting pushed up by the masses? How do
Yes.
you do that?
You know, for me, ever since, I mean, I will say the relationship that I had with Prince was incredibly special, because there was a love and appreciation outside of me working for him. And with most of my clients, I really have learned to keep that kind of um, limitation and boundary, because I think that they get to have, like, what I've learned is that they do get to have that privacy. They do get to have their life and the people that they share, those things with. And I may not be that person for them, and I no longer volunteer that like I have in the past. But I will say, I do have a couple other clients where I just like adore them and love them and just appreciate like what they've done for me in my life, and I know that they feel the same way about me and the things that I've done or shifted in their life in terms of just their culinary experiences, but also within their own family. And so I will say I'm I don't know, I guess it's just giving people permission to be themselves, and also like recognizing that not everything is my business anymore. And that also is definitely an ego, right? Because as a chef, like you nourish people, and so with nourishment comes like that vulnerability and openness. And so sometimes I think that if someone is coming in and they're just like venting to me about what's happening in their life, then it's just an opportunity for me to hold the space. And sometimes I don't need to respond, and sometimes I do. And that's the lesson that I've learned, is to kind of give myself permission to live my life and let them live their life.
Mhm. Beautiful.
Tell us a little bit about your spirit fed business. I love the name Spirit Fed. I know a
Thank
little bit about
you.
it, but I'm sure our listeners would love to hear what it is that you're doing in your life now that is speaking to spirit.
Yes. So, one of my dear friends who I met through Prince, Damaris Lewis, she actually helped me come up with the name several years ago, with Spirit Fed. And I wanted, again, to kind of create this business where I was feeding and nourishing people. And they felt like it wasn't like someone was just giving them a diet that they read on the internet. It was like there were so at that time there were like so many different diets and so many different avenues in which people could go in. And I felt like I just wanted a business where I could just nourish you, where you just felt like, you know what, my soul feels fed, my needs are met, and the food is great, and it's not just coming in a package, that everyone else gets. The thing about Spirit Fed is I only take on a limited amount of clients, so that everyone feels like they're getting their own private chef experience. And they can call me on the phone. I'm available, or my team's available. And I wanted people to have access to the people that are nourishing them, as opposed to, again, this just being something that I was just pumping out food. I wanted to be able to stay connected with my clients. And so that's how Spirit Fed came about. There's been a lot of transition with it, and maneuvering, and it went, I put it on the shelf and then brought it back. And I'm really happy with it. I feel so connected to Spirit Fed, and because it's not just about me as a nutritionist and feeding people. I also have Karin, who's a part of Spirit Fed, and with her hypnosis business, and then coaching. And then I also have, Kundalini yoga, and where it's just encompassing the spirit. It really is. And so you're like, oh my gosh, like I have someone who's actually present for me, and my needs, and not just food. So, and not just coaching. It's also, like I said, just feeding the spirit.
I love that. It sounds like a lot of collaboration with
Yes.
people, and that's where we're at. It's about not doing something alone. It's about doing
Yes.
together because we have a common purpose. So bringing this passion project to life, what would be a really important lesson? Because there are many people out there right now that have got ideas and they're sort of getting creative because we're moving very, very fast in this new transformative world.
Yes.
So what would you say a key lesson is that you learned to bring your passion project to life?
Yes, this is such a great question because I have been speaking on this recently. One of my dear friends said to me recently that she's like, I think you dream too big. And it's interesting because I have a lot of people that have said that to me in my lifetime. But I always chopped it up to I live like Walt Disney, where life is like Disneyland to me, where it's like there's so much joy in what I put out. And Disneyland actually is the place where I go and get grounded. Like I live like, okay, I'm gonna go to Disneyland so that I can figure my life out and where I get to be and be in the joy and the spirit of playfulness, because that's what it is. It's, I mean, most of the time, sometimes there's a lot of kids kicking and screaming, but I do find so much joy in it. And when that was said to me, I'm not gonna lie, it like crushed me. Like I was like the one person, like I just was like, I can't even, like, I couldn't wrap my hand around it. And it took me months, like to process that. And what I realize is that it's okay. It's okay that I dream big and I have a vision for my life. Sorry, it's gonna make me emotional. Because I've always been this person, and if it wasn't for people like Prince, right, that like saw that light in me, and saw that vision, and it was because he lives so big. And I'm not saying like I'm comparing myself to Prince by all means, but it's okay to dream big, and it's okay to fail, and it's okay to like keep throwing the dart, and miss, and because one day it's going to happen. And so that's really what it is. It's just like trusting yourself and letting it be joyful, like really like letting it be. The whole process gets to be joyful. And so at the end of the day, I'm proof that it's like your dreams can come true. Your dreams can absolutely come true, and you just keep going.
Yeah, and Crystal,
Yeah.
you just keep working on those dreams all the time. We talk almost every day in Voxer in our group with our team. So I know you so intimately. And I never even
Yes.
thought to ask you this. Have you ever reached out to Prince for assistance, for help, for his spirit to guide you in this beautiful project?
Mhm. No, I actually haven't. And thank you for saying that, because I get to I really do get to do that and ask him, because I do know he's there. Like that's the funny thing, is that I know he's there, like saying things to me and like, no, don't do that, or I don't like that, but just
Yeah.
really asking for his guidance. Yes, absolutely.
Well, and what I know on the other side is when I ask Josh for guidance, my son that's in
Mhm.
heaven, when I ask him for guidance, he clearly answers me. And yet there are times when I forget to ask him. And then I remind
Mhm.
myself, he wants to help me. Like he is
Mhm.
literally waiting there in the ethers to help
Mhm.
me write the book, edit the book, find the
Yes.
time, send people my way, like send an agent my way and a publisher my
Yes.
way. And so, something I can't believe I never even mentioned to you that Chris
Yeah.
or Prince, as much as you guys had this relationship and this love for each other, I am
Mm.
sure he's just waiting for you to ask him.
Thank you. I'm sure he is. Or probably not waiting. He's probably screamed it at me and I just haven't heard it.
Crystal, what you just shared then about and really opening your heart, I want to say thank you for that, for
Yes.
opening your heart about daring to dream big. And it's interesting that you said in the same breath, you said, not that I would compare myself to Prince. And that's what we tend to do. It's like the big self is like, yeah, I can dream big. I can
Right.
do anything. I can do this. And then the little self comes in and says, but I'm not comparing myself to
Right.
Prince. And in fact,
Right.
you know more than anyone, he was a human. You know,
Yes,
he was a spirit in a human body. You're a spirit in a human
absolutely.
body. I'm a spirit in a human body. Karen is too. And really, we put these, you know, these status symbols on people and make them
Yes,
bigger because they've got this amount of money or this amount of fame, but they had struggles, they had
absolutely.
challenges, and
Absolutely.
he was able to shine his light with his singing and the beautiful bright force that he was in the world, but so can all of we.
Absolutely. And he believed that. That's the funny thing is he absolutely believed that he wasn't any better, than anyone else and that everyone deserved an equal opportunity as long as you worked hard. Like he really, really, truly believed that. And so thank you for pointing that out because I get to acknowledge that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just a really beautiful reminder for all of us to, whatever we think in our mind
Mm-hmm.
that dreaming big is, it's actually not it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever,
Seriously.
whatever we think, because we can only go by something that we already know or that we've
Yes.
seen.
Yes.
Our in terms of dreaming big, we don't know what that is because it's
Yes.
something that we wouldn't even allow ourselves to think about
Right.
because we still think that we're limited in some way. And
Absolutely.
so, like, how can you? I love playing this game. Like, how can I take it to the extreme? Like, this is what I love doing. So, what is extreme for me? And I go as far as I can go, but I know that no matter how far my mind goes, there will be so many levels that
Mm-hmm.
I can't even grasp, that are not even impossible in my mind. But
Absolutely.
but what I love about your story is that you you are, achieving your dreams. You are dreaming big. You have got a big vision. You are bringing it all together. And is there anything else that you would like to speak on? You know, dreaming big and making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, as I shared, Disney is my joy. And when I was a kid, my favorite quote, and it still is to this day, is all your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. And I just it just lives in me. Like that quote, it literally lives in me. And so I'm just excited for what I have going on in my life right now, because I have manifested this life and exactly what you said. I wanted it to happen 10 years ago and it didn't, and now it's happening right now in the time that it's supposed to. And that the fact that I'm actually able to hold it, even though some moments it feels so unreal at times, but I'm able to hold it now, because of the experiences and the life lessons that I've had. And I'm able to openly and vulnerably share, the people that I've actually been on the journey with, which is Prince being one of them.
Yeah. What you said was so important. So important that you wanted this dream 10 years ago,
Mhm.
but it's your life experience
Yes.
that has that because we don't know. We think we want something, but we may not be ready for it. We
Hmm.
think we may want the big stages and the big audiences and but we may not be able to cope with the energy because we're not spiritually expanded to that point yet.
Yes.
So 10 years ago, you're a different crystal to the crystal
Absolutely.
now, right? How
I'm
are you
different
different?
5 years ago than I was 5 years ago, and the 5 years before that, and I will say, obviously, growth. And someone said something to me yesterday, which was people can change or people can grow, and like I want to be a part of growth. I get to be a part of growth, and like that is I've changed many times in my life, I will say, but can I say now, like the growth that's happened is like it lives in me, and it lives in and outside. And whereas before I just kept all of that in. And now I'm just like the sky's the limit. I'm so open to talking about growth and what my growth experience has been.
Beautiful.
I'm
Yes.
very curious. Who has been your greatest source of inspiration or support
Mm,
in this journey that you've been on?
that's oh gosh. Like I'm like now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cry. My mother, like my mom, I just remember wanting to go to culinary school and like everyone say it was a bad decision, including her. No, she didn't say it was a bad decision. She just said, "Can we please have like some other options?" And because she wanted me to just, my mom was a nurse, and she didn't want me on my feet all the time, and she wanted me to just have just simple, you know. And but I was never simple, and I've never been that person. And so she she has been my biggest supporter, and my angel here on earth, and loving me through all of it, like really truly through all of it, and unconditionally. And which is why I believe I am who I am today, which regardless of how people show up in my life, regardless of what they do, regardless of what they don't do, I still believe in humans. Like I believe in like the goodness of mankind, and it's because of her. Because no matter what happened in my life, she was still my source of support and love and kindness, even when she didn't need to be. And so I'm grateful to her. And then I'm just gonna throw this out there. My future husband, life partner, I will say, has really taught me partnership. Has really, like, since we've been together, like what it means to build a life with someone, and to kind of, I will say, I don't want to say take that burden off my mom, because my mom is like so wonderful, but it's really shown me that I can have a life partner that's not just my friend, because my friends are amazing, but a life partner that we can build and grow together. So I will say that.
Beautiful. I love this, Crystal.
Yeah.
So moving through all of that, I've just got a question, and I love to know, you've been through what seems a lot.
Mm,
And what would you say was your biggest challenge, and
mm.
how did you get through it? What was the
Yeah.
lesson on the other
Oh, this is
side?
another good question. I will say, there are two things. Like, I am a massive people pleaser. And I used to, I never knew how to work through that. I looked at it, especially like now, as we talk a lot about people pleasers and being vulnerable, all of these different words, right, that come out. And what I realized, it's also one of my strengths, you know. And seeing people, and loving them for who they are, and the growth that I know that's possible for them. And for me, the challenge has been putting their needs before mine. And so by putting other people's needs before mine, what's happened is that I have learned to not be my authentic self. I've learned to show up how they need me to show up. I've learned to create what they need me to create. I've learned to be who they need me to be. I've learned to fall on the sword that I don't need to fall on. I've learned to, to stand for things that I probably shouldn't have stood for. Allowed people to treat me in a way that's not in integrity to me, and therefore me not being in integrity to them. And that's been such a huge lesson for me. So learning how to embrace who I am and how I get to show up for people, but also making sure that I show up for myself first.
Well, we ask every guest that comes onto our podcast with us a question near the end. And the question we have
Okay.
for you, because we are Soul Sisters Get Real, and you are truly a soul sister, is what does get real mean to you?
Oof, still learning. um, I'd say get real for me is not always being raw. You know, I sometimes think like that we have this idea that like we have to bear everything down to the
Mm.
core to be real, you know. And that's not always it. You know, it's not always it. It's not always having this like massive breakdown, you know, in order to like find the root. Sometimes it's just like it's right there in front of your face, and it's so simple, and it can be so easy if we allow it. And so that for me has been I will say, being real over the last couple years, and just like, not everything has to be so dramatic, and it can be peaceful, and that's real.
Yeah. Our default position is to be peaceful. You know,
Yes.
that's actually what our default position is, and yet
Mm,
it for so many of us it's not. It is drama. And I love
yes.
what you said, Crystal, about that it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't
Mm.
have to be that we bare our soul and we don't have to speak on everything to be real.
Yes.
Being real means to be ourselves in that moment,
Mhm.
to honor ourselves, to speak our truth, right? And this is what you're
Yes.
saying. But
Yes.
that's what you're saying, and the truth in that moment, what I heard you say is, it might just be to not speak. It
Yes.
might just be to be at peace.
Yes. Absolutely. I am choosing peace. It should have been my word of the year. Word of the year is obedience. But I also peaceful obedience, I will say, or something like that,
There you
because I really am bringing in. I'm asking for peace in my life, because and asking myself to be peaceful in my life, because there is there's this, what is that saying? It's like, I'm protecting my peace, right? People say that, like, I'm protecting my peace.
go. Oh, sure.
And what I realize is that there is, like, it's, again, at least for me in my experience, there is no protecting of your peace. You either are peace or you're not. You
Yeah,
either bring peace to the
yeah,
energy or you don't. There's
yeah.
no shield that can protect you from the world or the things that are happening, or like, stop, like, your peace will always be juggled. But if you if you can approach it from a peaceful place, then to me, that's peace. That's me. My peace is already protected, always.
And how incredible that we're talking about peace at the end of this podcast. And what does Prince symbolize with his dove?
Oh,
What does he symbolize with his dove? Every time I see a dove, I think of Prince, right? Who doesn't?
Right, right. Absolutely. It's all
What is that
peace.
the
that
symbol
It's
of?
all peace.
right? That just says to me that he's here. Like
Oh gosh, of
he
course he is.
put this all together.
I always say that. He always is. He wants me to know. It's so funny. I'm planning a wedding right now, and I'm just like laughing, because I'm like, this is and I know we're ending, but I want to share my first wedding. It's my second wedding. My first wedding, he didn't come, and he called me. I had pockets built in my dress because I had my phone, because I knew he wasn't coming. And so he would call, what are you guys eating? What are you doing? How's the dress? How's this person? And so I have these like giggly moments in my head right now as I'm planning my wedding, and just envisioning that same, like, those moments of, like, that he's here, and it's those same giggly moments, and I know he's helping me plan a beautiful wedding.
Oh, beautiful.
Right.
Prince, I love you. And Crystal, thank you so much. You've been just a joy, a beautiful energy, and
Thank
what a
you.
gift to the world with everything that you're bringing forward with your
Thank you.
soulful food. And
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
for being here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for being here. Love you.
Absolutely. Love you.
Thanks for watching. We hope you loved it.
And if you did, please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And remember, always connect to your truest essence.
And choose love. We'll see you next time.